Welcome to the DMA Untamed podcast, Unapologetic 3.0, where we'll be discussing women breaking barriers and owning their spaces in the digital and creative marketing world. Today, I'm joined by two lovely ladies. It's going to be an all-women panel. Girl power, yay! And I'd like my panelists to introduce themselves. So we'll start with Kate and Immaculate. So, Kate, over to you.
Cool. I recently did a PR session where you are supposed to introduce yourself in a certain way, but I don't remember. So my name is Wahu Mwangi. I work in the marketing team at African Originals, and I'm glad to be here to be able to talk to lovely women about our marketing journey, how we've disrupted the industry, talk about where we started, how we got there, and how we want to continue with the journey. So thank you, Kate.
Welcome, Wahu. Pleasure to have you, as always.
Wahu has a very strong intro. You're making shy people like us feel even more shy. So my name is Immaculate. Like introducing myself as a solution provider within the marketing industry. I work at Diamond Trust Bank, and my expertise are in cards, everything marketing, above the line marketing, digital marketing, and everything in between in the marketing space. So I'm that person who makes banking look cool and efficient. Happy to be joined by these three amazing ladies to talk about basically how we are breaking barriers and people are noticing, others are not noticing, others are pretending not to notice. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, and I'll be your host with the most, Dr. Catherine Kibuchi, SG, DMAs, and yeah, looking forward to this panel conversation and just having, a nice time today. So solution provider, I like that. So let's start with solution provider. So when you talk about solution provider, what do you exactly mean in terms of providing solutions, really?
So I'm in the financial industry, and pretty much banks are very traditional. They have been traditional for a very long time. So as opposed to FMCG, where we'll have products and shout about them, we'll have cool stuff to talk about. We have solutions for our customers, but we need to break them down in an easier way for them to understand what we are selling, how we are integrating the things that we have in their lives. So in matters product marketing, in matters digital marketing, in matters sponsorships, in everything that is in marketing.
Yeah.
So I look at myself as a solution provider because without marketing in an organization, people will not know who your brand is, what your brand does, and how your brand is coming in to help you as an individual who's a consumer.
Okay. So I think the solution providing element really ties into disrupting the industry. And what is your take on women disrupting the industry? One, in innovation, marketing, tech, and basically digital. Yeah, because I think the solution provider and disrupting the space kind of speaks into each other. So how do you see yourself?
How I see myself as a disruptor within the marketing space is having unconventional ways of doing things. Like previously we were used to purely print advertisements. When we started talking about digital marketing, people only talked about Facebook, people only talked about Twitter, but here is TikTok. Are you willing to go into TikTok as a banker, especially? I sit in a place where most of my stakeholders are people who it's a male-dominated area, and they're not averse, they're not really welcoming digital media. And when I started, I would like to use my example. When I joined the marketing team, we came from a place where we only used to do print. But now I'm sitting in an area where we have millions and millions in terms of budget when it comes to digital marketing. So there's social media. We are now looking at going into TikTok because you guys have decided that you're going to move search from Google to TikTok.
Yeah.
So we are now looking at ways of tweaking our campaigns to fit into the TikTok space. To me, that is disruption because banking. Who thought we would have animated advertisements? Who thought we would have sponsorships and people sponsoring big campaigns from the financial industry?
So talking about disruption, Wahoo, and now let's go back to African originals. Like, you guys really do a lot of amazing stuff. And I just wanted to understand how you feel as being a member of the marketing team there. You have contributed to disrupting this and actually really bold, communication that is coming through. Really cool, really young people. Like, it's really dope. So I'd like to hear some of that.
I think for us, what we do as a company is a purpose-driven brand. It's always trying to build purpose-driven brand. So when you look at how even our marketing is, it's not that, okay, objective, yes, will be business. We want to make X sales, X revenue, but behind it, there's always a purpose of why we are doing this. So when you look at AO in general, it came from Africa. It's built in Africa. Africa is very vibrant. It's very colorful. It's full of fruits that we use in our product. So how do you also bring that disruption of who we are as Africans, who we are as Kenyans, our culture, our food, into our marketing, into our comms, into our brand? So that's how you see we do a lot of colorfulness, Africanness, trying to build that brand with purpose rooted with Kenyan roots.
Okay. Yeah. And have you guys experienced any form of backlash, for lack of a better word, in terms of the colorfulness? Some of these things are used to be very boring and blurred, and now here comes a brand that is very loud, it's very colorful, and guys are like, hey, who do you think these people? Who do they think they are? Where are they disrupting our things? Have you actually experienced anything like that?
Actually, no. There's no backlash because it's very relatable. It's just that no one was doing it. I can say we were the first people to actually leverage that African culture, that Kenyan culture into our brand. I know there are other brands who do it, but we opted as it's a foundation of what we are building as Kenyan originals. So we don't have backlash. We also we see more of inspiration of even other brands trying now to draw the inspiration from the African culture. We see small startups, organization coming up, also trying to draw that purpose driven from the African culture, which is very inspiring. I wouldn't say that just because we are very vibrant African, we own the brand. It's good to also inspire other people to actually start using that.
All right, cool. And I think it's pretty dope to see how marketing has evolved in terms of how we communicate to a target audience as well. And as you said about branding for AO, and kind of ties into your personal branding as well. So I think we can move from brand a little bit and talk about you as a person and how do you brand yourself into this industry of marketing and digital. Basically, about personal branding. How do you rate your experience? Let's talk about your experience. Let's talk about your growth curves. Let's talk about you as an individual, as Wahoo. How have you navigated your personal brand to where you are today?
That's a good question. I think I base that based on my life philosophy, and mine is always do it with kindness, do it the best you can. And I think it's because how I was brought up. I remember when my dad used to drop me at school, he used to say, be kind today and do your best. Even when I go for, let's say, and like this podcast is like, go give your best, be kind. Like it's something that from childhood was like a philosophy that was put into me and my siblings, and you grow up as even in your personal branding. So when you translate that into work, is more of, my career has been extensive. I started in agency. I started as a media planner, by the way. I used to do those media spots. Oh my God.
Oh, really?
Oh, Lord.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Where you have, I remember we are doing some major national campaign back then for, I don't know, IEBC. Then, because it's national, you need to reach out to Akotukana, Sijui Wapi. You don't even know if there are radio stations in those regions. So you had to actually find them. And I remember doing like planning for over 70 radio stations. And in Zile, you go to the system, you're keen 111. This XFM 11, YFM. So that's why I started in agency. And I think, and then I went to the creative side where I spent a couple of years at Densu. I moved to agency first in Scan Group. Then I went to Densu. That's where I really segmented my foundation career-wise, especially from a creative angle, strategy angle. Then I skip to the client side. So what I usually say is, as Wahoo, it's like I'm a branch of 360. I have a root in media planning, so I can be able to understand a bit of media landscape.
Yeah.
I have many and deep roots in creative strategy, in comms, based off Densu a lot. And now I've begun to have some roots into this other side, the client side, the corporate side, the brand building on this side, because when you come to this side for clients, it's more of what's the overall strategy. And then before now, you partner with agency to actually execute it. So being able to build the overall strategy, this is my 2-year plan for the brand, this is my 5-year plan for the brand, and getting the right partners to be able to help you achieve that.
All right. I do like, be kind and, give it your best. So coming back to Immaculate and building authentic brand as an individual, how has that evolved over the years for you to be where you are today, and handling such an amazing portfolio of cards? I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So to me, it has always been about consistency. I've had the same career trajectory as Wahoo. So my background is actually in journalism. But when I started my career, there were no opportunities in the media house. So I had to look for money. So I found myself in the CX industry, customer experience industry. And that is how in a telco company, and that's how I found myself at DTB. Still in the CX industry, but consistency, man. I wanted to get myself somewhere. And then now I started learning on the side about marketing. And I kept on telling myself, lazima nitafika, iyo marketing. And then also, not outside. I saw a very big opportunity at Diamond Trust Bank. They had a very lean team in the marketing industry. And I kept on telling myself, I have to find a strategy of getting myself into the marketing team. So what I used to do my day job. And then later, I go to the marketing team and ask them, do you people have work to do? I would like to assist you guys. So I started with sponsorships. And then one day an opportunity happened. So at the CX side, I was doing community management. So it pretty much sent me into the digital marketing field, and I started learning alone. Then now, slowly I started volunteering to the marketing team, and that's how I ended up at the market one day. So 2 opportunities came. I never made it for that opportunity. Then finally I got into that space, and remember, this is a green area. I have to start learning about marketing, what marketing is. I have to understand while working at the same time. So it's a big deep dive. So consistency is the only thing that got me to where I am right now, to the point of handling a very big portfolio of cards. So consistency, be teachable, and open up yourself to opportunities. There are some that will come, others will not come. But also consistency builds credibility, and at the end of it all, builds a brand as a person.
I love it. Guys, talk about a panel with overachievers. Yo! So talking of having a powerful panel full of overachievers, you see stretch assignments. Mtu anatoka their day job, they want to stretch into the marketing industry, which is really cool to watch. And I think that's what makes women special, right? We have the ability to multitask and actually, spread our wings and get there. Let's talk about the barriers maybe you did experience in your stretch. In most organizations that I've come across, guys don't like overachievers. I think we're in an industry sometimes that mediocrity is kind of tolerated a lot. Was there any form of of guys talking behind your back? Who does she think she is? Mbona anashinda hivi, kwani anaona kwaje? Was there such kind of resistance?
From where I sit, the barriers that I have faced mostly have been, banking is a largely male-dominated area. And also, the average age is quite higher. So you are a young, ambitious woman who thinks you can move mountains and create campaigns that will bring adoption of certain products. But then when it comes to management buying, it becomes a very big problem.
Yeah.
Because these are people who've sat on those seats for 10 to 15 years. Our oldest employee has worked in DTB for 26 years. So that can give you a rough picture of who sits at our decision-making table.
Yeah.
So you have to really come up with ways of offering value to these people. If you give me this budget, this is what I'm bringing back to the company. And then also, it's largely also an undifferentiated market. So Bank X will have what you're having, Bank Y will have what you're having, and Bank C will have what you're having. They are all doing print. Who are you to tell these people that, look, today I don't want to do print. Today I want to, you give me like $500 for Twitter. Like the major barrier has always been people understanding what marketing is bringing into the table.
Yeah.
But then also that ties back to how we present ourselves to the management. How are you packaging your PowerPoints when you're going to pitch for that budget?
Yeah. Okay. I think when we talk about budgets and concepts and getting guys to buy in, Wahu, my question to you is, I think there's a lot of balancing between budget, disruptive creativity, management. Everybody's not buying into your dream. Yeah. So how have you been able to navigate the three? Because they're quite complex. So you have this bold idea that is so amazing. Like you can see the conversion, you can see the disruptiveness. And then you have a management that will be like, no, or they'll be like, yes, but what is the return on marketing investment? How have you been able to navigate that particular space?
I think lucky for us, we have our CEO has a marketing background. She worked as CMO for one of the biggest manufacturing company in the world. So she understands how to separate marketing and sales. And even to answer your question, people always assume marketing is in and out. But marketing can never be in and out. Yeah. Marketing is more of a long-term activity that you're doing. You're building that awareness, you're building that loyalty with consumers so that they can be your investors in the long term. It's also if I invest in a 5 million out of home campaign, I will get 3 million in sales. It never works like that. Yeah. And I think that's where you'll find there's always conflicts and challenges because some of the decision makers never understand that it's not like a sale strategy. A sales strategy, if I go to an outlet and say, I'm going to offer you this product at a discount, you can be able to see they will move a lot of cases, they'll move a lot of product. That's a sales strategy. Yeah. A marketing strategy is more on the consumer, telling them, oh, there's this product in the market, imprinting them that product, that consumer behavior, showing up where they are. If they're in the club, you are there with your table talker.
Yeah.
If they're in Mta at a liquor store, you are there with your kapusta, showing KO, showing 5-8, building that psychological behavior in the consumer so that they can stay in the long term. And I think that's where the challenge always lies, that market is in and out, it can never work like that. So one, I think it's been able now to convince decision makers about that. It's been able to tell them there's a separation. And it's always been sales and marketing. Always, even when I tell like my grandmother I'm in marketing, oh, you're in sales and marketing. No, I don't do sales. I'm in marketing. There are two different things. Yeah. So it's always now, like you're saying, when you have this idea, I have this campaign, our objective is awareness, yeah? How do you want to achieve awareness? I'm going to do this campaign. I'm going to do these activities in trade. I'm going to do this sales strategy, and this is what they are going to convert, So if you want to see some conversion, this is where you look at the sales strategy. But marketing, with all the beautiful billboards we have out here, it's very hard. I've seen a global billboard here. You never know how many people look at that billboard, and if they do, you never know how many will buy from Glovo or will buy a KO product because I've seen a billboard somewhere on Thika Road. So it's more of making decision makers, making people, even who are your colleagues, your teammates, people who are your mentoring, what is marketing as well. Yeah,
so I think there's something interesting that you talked about, psychological behavior. And I just want us to shift a little bit in terms of how the industry has shifted. And we have seen more women coming up in in terms of in the marketing space or in male-dominated spaces. What do you think is a psychological behavior contributor to that? That now women are now becoming more accepted into these spaces, in male-dominated spaces. What do you think that one of those? Any of you can go. Like,
I think for me is because women have always not had an equal opportunity growing up. You could see, like my grandparents, all her brothers went to school. Yeah. So my grandmother made a point to educate her kids. So my mom went to school, my aunties went to school. And in return, my mom also made sure that we go to school to give us an equal opportunity. So I think that psychological of never having a fair opportunity makes you work harder.
Yeah.
Makes you go for it.
Yeah.
Makes you know, I'm not going to be given this on a platter. I need to work for it. I need to work hard. And for me to be able to, let's say, be a CMO in maybe 10 years, what do I need to get there?
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I keep telling myself. What's my 5-year plan? What's my 10-year plan? What do I need to get to my 5-year plan? Yeah. So one of the things that I needed to be maybe a marketing manager or a head of marketing is have at least a master's. Yeah. I went and did my master's,
Yeah.
I need to have some technical skills. I need to understand how digital works. I need to understand how to come up with a brand and marketing strategy. So you build on that. So because we know as women, over the years, we've been breaking barriers because a lot of opportunities are not given to us. We are always working for them.
Yeah. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do feel the same way, but also something else that has contributed to now women opening up themselves to take up on this role is the role that media has largely played. Previously, we had very minimal highlights of women who are actually doing well in higher spaces. So you see, there will be that element of fear that I have not seen any other woman doing this. So why would I rise and do it?
Yeah.
I look at people locally in the financial industry. I look at people like Njeri Jomo. Njeri has risen from ranks. She's currently the CEO of Jubilee Health.
Yeah.
So she has risen, and media is doing a very key part in highlighting what she's done in the society, and also just the steps that she took to get to where she is. Another big thing that has helped women to get to open themselves up to these spaces is the fact that now there are opportunities of women expanding their knowledge, and also media playing a key role in just driving the narrative of you belong to that table.
Yeah.
You're not given that table. Also, just collaboration. As much as we talk about femininity,
Toxic femininity?
No. Feminism.
Oh, feminism.
We also need to largely talk about how we need our male counterparts as collaborators, because they're already in the room. We cannot get into the room by fighting them. We have to collaborate. We have to have sponsors speaking about us in these rooms. So, I mean, there's a big shift.
Yeah.
So that gives women also a very big opportunity to rise to the ranks.
So it's owning your space at the table. So
Yes,
you
don't
take
wait.
it and
Don't wait to
ask
be
for that
called.
tea, ask for that water, and be
Yes.
like, hey,
And don't take notes.
You're not taking notes.
Don't
Like,
be the
minutes is not your
secretary.
thing. Minutes is
Don't
not your
get
thing.
tea.
Like, listen to me. This strategy has to fly, guys. So
Don't volunteer, please.
It's not volunteering. Cool. I think this conversation is really going on well, and I just wanted to maybe build on in terms of owning that space as a woman in the industry, and how sometimes women are perceived not to open doors for each other. Like, do you feel like women in your spaces or women that you have worked with have actually paved ways for you guys and pulled you up, mentored you? Are you mentoring somebody? Are you gatekeeping? Pia ni sawa ku gatekeep, maybe unataka hiyo simu lazima ikuwe yangu, so you're gatekeeping. The best generally, how have women around your circles influenced where you are, and how are you influencing other women around your circle?
That is a conversation that we need to accept to talk about.
Yeah.
Because most of us have had those experiences of women holding spaces. it could be from how we are cultured from back then. But then also, we need to talk about I've been mentored by someone else.
Yeah.
Because we want to open up spaces for other women. What are you doing as Kate? What am I doing as Immaculate?
Yeah.
Am I mentoring other girls? Am I talking about how we can get into those spaces? And this year's theme for International Women's Day talks about accelerating action.
Yeah.
We can have these conversations as much as possible, as much as we want. We can have conversations about pay gaps. We can have conversations about the number of women who sit in C-suite.
Yeah.
But what action are we taking?
Yeah.
So it's something that we need to look into internally. And we say, if you've been mentor 3 more, or talk about it in your female circles when you're going out for brunch, when you're going out for picnics. These are the conversations you're supposed to have, not other conversations of, uliona venye, did you see how she's dressed? Did you see the car she's driving? Who do you think bought her that car? Hakupata theme, Yeah, so we need to have difficult conversations in the room.
All right, cool.
I think, just to add on to Immaculate's point, I think it starts with me and you. These discussions have been had.
I know, right?
Women being our own enemy.
Yes.
You get an opportunity to climb up the ladder in your organization. You have somebody who is there sabotaging, It's just nile.
Yeah.
Nisisi kuamua, It's like,
that's true.
We want change.
Yeah.
You have to make it happen.
Yes.
And like you're saying, it's how do you make change? So for example, like me, when I started as a media planner, our CEO or our MD then was a female lady. She's very huge in the media industry. I don't want to mention her. But she used to mentor me.
Yeah.
Even as I started as an intern, went to a media implementer, planning. She's those people who used to call you into your office. So how are you doing? How is the new campaign doing? How is the new client doing? What do you want to learn? Is there something new skill you want to learn? You could say, I want to do a pitch. And then the next time she carries you, she tells you, now we have a pitch. So come, sit in the boardroom, learn, grow, and do. So the same thing as even my current employer, my current place of working is, what skills do you want to advance yourself? Yeah. We're always doing these PDPs, annual, semi-annual. But most of the time they just leave in the folder for HR. Which skills do you want to grow? But as a manager, if you're managing somebody and they say, I want to learn a certain skill, as a manager, you're also a mentor, whether you like it or not. Your work is to grow these people, to be exceptional, to get to the next level. So whether they have asked you to be a mentor or not, you're a mentor indirectly. So if somebody says, Imelda, I want to learn how to do media planning, I want to know how to learn strategy, I want to learn about something, even production of a TVC, you can connect them with connections that you have. With a friend of mine, they are shooting a TVC, go and see how it has. So I think change starts with me and you, trying to uplift each other and not
like gatekeep in terms
opportunities will always be there. Even if sometimes they come once, another door will open. There are so many doors out there. I don't know why we always feel like it's only this one door.
That one.
It's not.
I think for me, I have good and bad experience. So there's one day when I was just trying to move jobs, I had actually a meeting with a woman CEO, and I thought, wow, she's gonna pull me up. She's gonna teach me how to do this. But instead, it was like hammering me down. She was like, oh, tell me about yourself. And so I told her, I have kids. And the first thing she asked me, how do you even work in agency when you have kids? It's impossible,
Yeah.
Like, it was a matter of like stepping on me. And I was like, why are you doing this? I actually cried. Like, after that conversation, and it was actually in a public place. It was in a hotel. This casual meet and greets that CMOs do. Like, I'm trying to headhunt you and everything.
Yeah.
It was actually in a public space. And the way she just, like, stumbled on me was so disheartening. But I chose to ignore that and be like, you know what? I am not going to carry that bad energy and take it back and actually stamp on somebody.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of taking that and actually renewing it, even in my current role. How do we bring in more women into roles of leadership? How do we bring more women into very male-dominated spaces, like our tech team, things like that? So, I mean, let's just say sometimes we are our own worst enemies. We are, because sometimes you expect, you talk to a female CMO and they do understand you just have a newborn baby, you can, have flexi hours, but I'm not saying that is a point of weakness, but a point of understanding and reinforcing the team to become better at what they're doing and when supporting their personal lives. Now that brings me to my almost second last question. What is your thought about, I know this conversation has also been talked about, as a woman, work-life harmony, harmony life work, whatever we want to call it. What is your general take about, do you think it even exists?
It exists if you create it. That's what I'll say. And
Adjust your seat.
I was in agency. I think me and Kate used to be colleagues.
Yeah.
I had crazy clients. Very crazy people. I had to go to school 3 times a week physically. Natoka Hurlingham, get into my car all the way to USIU. But you see, you create it. So what I did is when I enrolled into my MBA, I told my boss back then, I won't be available from 6 to 9. So I'll have to plan myself. If you get an escalation, we'll just have maybe to deal with it, or we find a solution, another way to deal with it, because 3 times a week, 6 to 9, I won't be available. And it's agency. Sometimes you're doing a pitch.
Yeah, it's chaotic.
Deadline is midnight. At 10 at a PPT is all white. It's empty, So it's what I realized is you create it for you if you want it,
Yeah.
Because I created that time to go to school. Yeah. I created time. My work didn't suffer.
Yeah.
Actually, that's when I got more on board clients like yourself. So you create it. Even at where I am, FMCG, startup, life it's crazy, it's very fast. It's in the name, fast moving, consumer goods. So it's a very fast-paced environment.
Yeah.
And sometimes you even tend to find yourself, sometimes you work overboard or over the weekend or anything. Yeah. But I think what people really, or what I told myself is sometimes you have to. Sometimes that balance won't be there. Sometimes it's temporary. So, for example, if you're launching a new campaign or a new product or you're doing a shoot, you won't have a life balance.
Yeah, that's true.
I was leaving set the other day at 4 a.m. and the other is shooting at 6 a.m. the other day. I was in set for almost 24 hours. So sometimes you need to bring that proactivity to be able to achieve what you want.
Yes.
But just don't let it be your everyday life.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Right. Harmony goes to one and only Immaculate.
You know why I'm laughing? When Wahoo is talking about crazy clients, because I've been Wahoo's client. Was I crazy?
It's not you. You guys are my favorite. I'm the crazy one master.
Now, it's true what Wahoo has said. There exists 80% work-life balance if you know how to create boundaries. But then again, we work in a very marketing is a very fast-moving space. There are days that you will have to sacrifice. So how do I do it? I have created boundaries. After a certain time, I will not pick your calls. So if you do it today, you call me today at that time, I don't pick. You call tomorrow, I don't pick.
Yeah.
The third day, you will tell yourself, this one doesn't pick their calls at this time. But then also there are days you will be needed. And on the days that I'm needed, I fully represent, I fully show up. I will come to the office at 7 a.m. I will even leave at 8 p.m. So that shows the kind of person you are.
Yeah.
You are very reliable, but you've also created boundaries. So there's very much a thick line between work and life balance.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't call it balance, honestly. For me, it's like, how do we harmonize the two? Because without one, then there's no other.
The other one will suffer.
But the other one will suffer. So how do we harmonize the two? And I think you guys covered it very well in terms of you create your harmony, my friend. You create. If you want to switch off your phone, you switch it off.
Yeah. It's yours at the end of the day.
It's burning and you're just walking there. You're just like, you know what, today we're gonna firefight tomorrow, you know.
You're not,
Some of these things.
yeah, you're not the ambulance.
Yeah,
you're not the doctor.
you know, you're like,
you're not a police station. So
so it's okay. Let me
it's
go
okay,
get that sleep
guys.
because
It's fine.
when hormone starts moving all over, you even get fired faster. All right, cool. So as we were talking about, you know, work-life harmony, and I think we have actually covered in terms of how brands and you as personal brands and authentic brands are actually creating this space for other women. I just maybe have your parting shots, and also because we're in DMA Untamed, for DMAs, just want to understand, how do you think that you'd like to see DMAs show up better for women? Either in this edition, next edition, editions to come. Yeah. Yeah, so.
When was it? In 2020? 3.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I won more than 5 DMA awards.
Oh my God. That is
for one
so
of
dope.
my clients, Cadbury.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was, I remember the campaign. It was story.
Give a general story.
Yeah, give a general
Yes.
story. Yeah, that was one of the hardest and biggest projects we did that year. And I think for DMA, why I like it, it gives a platform for even smaller but greater stories to be seen. Because when you compare to the other larger campaigns, unaenda, you got to feel your award and you see, wait guys, and you're there with your car. Give a general story. I'm like, oh my God, am I even going to win?
Yeah.
But the idea and the rationale and the insight behind it was so thoughtful. It was very insightful and consumer driven that led us to win these awards. So I would say thank you for giving a platform for where we have smaller, impactful stories to be seen and to be heard to the consumer. Yeah.
What about for women? Is there something you think that they can accelerate action towards?
Yeah. So being in the
recognizing
creative, and there's always a stereotype in this industry of ours and advertising industry. Yeah. So when I joined Apaju, I don't think I saw any creative director who was a female. Back then, it was a very male-dominated field, and a lot of female were in the client service side. Yeah. But then when you sometimes sit even with client service, and guys are giving out even better ideas than your creatives. And I'm not saying that they are not good creatives. They are good creatives, but sometimes even as client service, we do our research, we read. When you're doing your strategy, your insight, you have to do a lot of research and see what are other people doing out there, outside Kenya, nini. So also you come up with ideas, yeah? But then I think it doesn't change as much. We've seen a couple of women coming up. I have a couple of my friends who are creative directors, Kina Terry, Kina Olive. I think she won Copywriter of the Year award last time.
Yes.
We are seeing more women coming into the male-dominated world. And then even on the art side, it's very male side. And I don't blame them. Maybe it's because even us women, maybe we are not interested in being graphic designers. So there's nothing much that people can do if we don't show interest. So maybe we can try to create categories for women to show that there's this women category, graphic designer of the award, and try to showcase there are actually women who are doing really great things. There's this artist, she's called Thandiwe, I believe,
Yes.
She had a show in Europe, if I'm not wrong, 2 weeks weekend ago. She just shows the African fabric art, and she's just breaking a lot of barriers in the international world space of art, But you see, if we don't tell her story, girls who are artistic like her would not know I can be able to do this, So maybe it's to create more categories, more spaces of where, this is a very male-dominated area, but come see what other female are doing.
I like that. It's more like of a showcase, a female showcase, or women showcase. That would be
Yeah. Wahu pretty much spoke my mind.
Yeah.
It's about 2 things: highlighting more stories that are touching the women side of the society, community, and also driven a bigger impact, and also just creating that opportunity to highlight a male-dominated area, but that has been done by bold and fearless women.
Yeah.
Yeah, so personally, I usually tell myself, the world is not waiting for me to be humble and all.
Yeah.
I have to be bold and fearless. And the world is watching. It's waiting for women to rise up and lead and take these spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Producer, that is our title. Bold and fearless. Cool. So as we wrap up,
Mtanipea kakitu.
money talk. So as we wrap it up, maybe final parting shots from my guests before we call it a wrap. Am I bold and fearless ndio ilikuwa parting shot?
The future is not female.
What?
It belongs to the fearless, boldest women ever.
Lovely.
Tough world, manze.
Say that again.
The future is not female. It belongs to the fearless, boldest, and toughest women out there.
Yo, let me tell you, this panel is hot, guys.
Me, I'll do an entirely different angle. And this is, I'm very close with my family. I think you've realized in this podcast.
Yeah.
When I was in school, now on my mom's side, my mom used to say all the time, see you at the top. But I think she meant see me. Unaona kwa ile ilikuwa inaitwa exam, top 10. So she used to tell us, see you at the top, see you at the top. So even right now, it's just her encouragement to always to me. When you go to school, when I was doing my master's, see you at the top. Okay, although you're not graded, but see you at the top. So for me is my parting shot to female who wants to grow in this career, who are growing even for us, for myself, is continue showing up authentically. Yeah. Continue showing up originally. Be who you are. Be kind. And we'll see each other at the top.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Yes, it's a wrap from Unapologetic. And I do love my parting shots. Thank you so much, Wahoo. Thank you so much, Immaculate, for being amazing and incredible to this particular contribution. To being fearless and bold and fearless. Woohoo! It's a wrap, guys.
Thank you.
Hey,
Nice.
wait.